Welcome to the camera tutorial video. There's so much that I can talk about with this video, so we're just going to cover the very basics and then we'll go from there based off of your questions and comments you leave in the description down below. So as you're watching this, leave questions about comments. Now starting off, you should be aware that this will be a biased opinion and tutorial because I'm going off of the knowledge that I have through film school and basically just trying a lot of different cameras. Now there's a lot of cameras out there, so there definitely is going to be a high opinion about this or that. I'm strictly just kind of covering the basics of it all. With that disclaimer, let's get started. So I've been filming with cameras since I was a baby, so I have a very strong opinion about cameras. Now, as I was going to film school, we were using film, actual film. I don't know if you know what that is. A lot of people don't, as far as the younger generation goes. Now everything's digital though, so it's made everything much more affordable and a lot easier to make videos. And it was a huge kind of change of events while I was going to film school when that actually happened, and that was with the introduction of the Canon 5D Mark II DSLR camera, which I just so happen to have right here, and this is actually a Mark II, so it's kind of an antique now. Mark III is out right now, the time of this video, and maybe a couple years from now they'll have the Mark IV. But this camera was a huge game changer. Before that, they had a camera called the Nikon D90. That was one of the first DSLR cameras that actually could shoot video. So originally I started as a Canon guy, and then that Nikon D90 came out, so I actually switched to that camera. And then the Canon 5D Mark II came out, so then I switched from Nikon to Canon because this was far superior to anything else out there as far as DSLR cameras go. And I've stuck with Canon as far as the DSLR movement goes ever since then. And I mean, I've invested all my money into Canon lenses, so I've kind of stuck on that end. Nikon and Canon DSLR cameras, I would say they're super comparable. I've never done like direct comparisons, but from what I've read, things are so high end now, even on the low end spectrum, that it's hard to fully compare them and see a difference as far as what people are experiencing on YouTube. So I've stuck with Canon. I love Canon. I've seen amazing stuff with Nikon. Now, when I started my YouTube career, I was going to college. I was a poor college student. I didn't have any monies for cameras, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel where this all started. And why we're here today, youtube.com/Devinsupertramp. So when that started, everything was being shot on this camera. Actually, it wasn't this camera. It was the same camera model, but not this camera. But on a Canon 5D Mark II, which I was borrowing from working at Orabrush, another YouTube company, or YouTube video company, a lot of other things too. And my friend, they also had a Canon T2i. I think they're on like the Canon T6i now, maybe even higher than that. So that's a camera less than $1,000, and then the camera at the time was about $2,800, $2,500, somewhere in there. So I was borrowing a camera from work and a Canon T2i, my friends, and that's when we shot the bike jump video that ended up doing super well and essentially launched the channel as far as viral videos go. It was all from that video, which was all shot on that camera. So I have a special love for that camera specifically because from there, after that video launched, I started getting a lot of big work and a lot of job opportunities because people were seeing our videos on YouTube. So after that all happened, I moved to Hawaii and I bought my own Canon 5D Mark II, and they also had another camera that came out called the Canon 7D that I eventually saved my money up for and bought that camera as well, which I'll talk about that in a moment. Actually, I'll talk about that in another episode. So for the first couple years of my YouTube channel, I was filming everything on my Canon 5D Mark II. For me, that was huge. It got my name out there and the quality was phenomenal as far as getting things out there, and the image as well was phenomenal as well. So starting off my YouTube channel, there was 3 cameras that I can give mad props, mad credit to. The Canon 5D Mark II, the Canon T2i, and then the GoPro 1. They're on the GoPro 4 now. So I was shooting on the original GoPro. So those were kind of like my 3 go-to cameras. I didn't use the T2i that much, and I didn't use the GoPro 1 that much. They're just kind of for pickup shots. And the Canon T2i could shoot slow motion, 60 frames a second at 720p. and those were the reasons why I used and justified those cameras. But my go-to camera was the Canon 5D Mark II. It did really well with low light. So nowadays, everything that we're shooting with, and keep in mind this is 6 years later, they've since then come out with the Canon 5D Mark III, which is our main camera we shoot all our behind the scene videos with. And the camera we're shooting this video with and all our tutorial kind of training videos, it's all done with the Canon 5D SR. So that's a slight difference, and we'll talk about that later, but that's specifically for photographs, high-end 50 plus megapixel camera. So it's used mostly for photography, but I actually really love the sensor on that camera, this camera that we're shooting with right now as far as the colors go. So that's why I chose to use this over the 5D Mark III. But the image, as far as video, the images are almost identical from kind of what I've gone back and forth with. And we currently own 3 5D Mark IIIs, and then that 5D Mark II I just keep kind of as a reminder of where I started to keep me grounded, because that's what it's all about. Now, I did a huge blog about 6 months ago covering all things camera equipment wise as far as all different budgets, because that's the most common question I get asked besides how to film with a Glidecam, is everyone wants to know what camera should I buy. Every camera, there's pros and cons to it. So down below in the description, check out my blog. That goes in far more detail with different budgets, such as, hey, I only have $300, what camera should I buy? I cover all that in the blog, which I'll link below right now. Check it out in the description. It'll go directly to that camera blog. And yeah, I think you can learn a lot more from there. Now, going back to the whole DSLR movement, after the Canon 5D Mark II had been out for a couple years, the Mark III came out, and what that offered is it allowed you to film in even better ISO, which means you can film in even lower light without as much grain, and it also allowed us to record longer takes. Before with the Canon 5D Mark II, I think it was about 11 and a half, 12 minutes that you could record straight, and then once the 5D Mark III came out, it gave you about 30 minutes roughly, give or take, where you could do much longer takes, which is more important for filming like documentaries and when people are actually talking to the camera like I'm doing right now. So those were kind of the big advantages to that, and the image was prettier. It was a better image as well, so there's several of those kind of pros to it as well. So that was why the upgrade happened. Now with that being said, after I got that camera, 4K became the craze, and everyone had to shoot 4K, which is essentially 4 times higher resolution than what we're shooting with now, 1080p. So basically times that by 4, and that's the image that 4K is. So that's when we bought the Canon 1D C, which I have right here. This is the Canon 1D C. We've had it for about 3 years now. So you can see the difference right here from a Canon 5D Mark II, Mark III. It's essentially the same body, and the Canon 1D C. This allows us to shoot in 4K, and it also allows us to shoot in super low ISO. I've shot with this 6400 ISO in 4K with hardly any noise at all. Super comparable to some of the best cameras as far as recording in low light. This is kind of my preference. Nowadays, our main camera, as far as our main YouTube channel, Devinsupertramp, most of those videos, I say 95% of the footage is shot on the Red Dragon in 6K, because that camera can film in RAW. Which basically it's like taking a photograph with a digital DSLR camera. They can take raw pictures, which gives you a lot more information compared to what we're shooting in now. It's not RAW, it's a different format, which you can just Google RAW if you want to learn more about RAW. That'll give you a much better description and understanding of that than me trying to explain that, because I won't do a good enough job and I won't do it justice. So I'm running out of air. That means I'm talking too fast. So everything we're shooting with now on our main YouTube channel is being filmed with the Red Dragon. That's the same camera that they're using in Hollywood for a lot of movies such as The Hobbit, Transformers, Spider-Man. There's a lot of big Hollywood movies that are using the Red Dragon, so it's kind of become an industry standard as far as digital cinema goes. And I love the camera. It's a very expensive camera. You're spending about $50,000 on it compared to the 1D C, where you're spending roughly $12,000, or the Canon 5D Mark III, where you're spending $2,500. This is all US currency for everyone international. And yeah, so there's different reasons for different things. Now, we're shooting in 1080p, which is good resolution, high resolution. The reason why we chose to shoot with the Dragon is because we make a lot of our kind of money on the side to help cover a lot of these videos through selling stock video footage. So a lot of these 4K television companies such as Sharp TV, Samsung, they have 4K displays and they want really pretty footage of nature and other scenes that are shot in 4K or higher. So that's why we use the Red Dragon for our YouTube videos, because they'll find those videos and then they'll actually buy permission to use those videos for television and for displays on their televisions to show them off. So it works out because it funds the videos that we want to do and gives us better opportunities. So that was a reason why we don't shoot everything on 1080p, because the truth is 1080p, what we're shooting this video on, is super high quality, but we're all about having the best image possible, and that's why we use a Red Dragon, and we'll do a video just on that coming very shortly. But that's kind of the gist of DSLR cameras as far as what we use and why we use it, the thought process behind it, and giving a little history as far as why we used GoPros back in the day. And it was mostly just to get shots from POV that we can normally get before. So there you have it. Any questions that you have about DSLRs, I would love to answer them in a follow-up video, so leave it down below in the description. Thanks so much for watching. So many exciting videos coming up for tutorials. And yeah, as we always say, over and out.
Yeah, wham, bam, super tramp. And I tipping up my hat while I boost the fans. And I hover up top, can you feel the noise? All the girls scream now cause they want the boys. Yo, making all the clouds looking like a big joke. When I run so fast and I sing so low, and you never wanna mess with me. You're just testing me, I just set me free, so just stop.